It's Missile Command meets Space Invaders meets Balloon Fight. It's Balloon Bomber. And who knew balloons were so explosive? Now, this game released to arcades in 1980, 2 years after Space Invaders, and the same year as Missile Command. And I only mention those two because, in a way, Balloon Bomber does kind of feel like a mixture of those classics. You're being fired upon by horizontally moving enemies who gradually move closer and closer to you, like Space Invaders, and when the enemies strike, they leave these big holes in the ground, like Missile Command. I don't know, I guess maybe the Missile Command thing is kind of a stretch, but that's what it reminds me of. Of course, everything reminds me of Missile Command. Watching birds poop on cars reminds me of Missile Command. So, you know, take that comparison with a grain of salt. You play Balloon Bomber as a little tank thing. You can move from one side of the screen to the other, firing one shot at a time upward at your hovering enemies. The catch is those holes your enemies leave. Whether the tires are bad or the driver's just a major sissy, whatever the reason, you can't traverse the impact craters. The bombs effectively choke off the area in which you can move, and if they close you in too tight, it makes you a sitting duck for those balloon bombs. It's a simple premise, but that's what makes it fun. The great thing about arcade games is they don't generally require needlessly complicated control schemes or anything like that. They give you a core gameplay idea that's challenging and refined enough to stand on its own and still hook you in. There's no need to put anything between you and the gameplay. And as we've been playing a lot of arcade games over the last few days, it's been really refreshing to play games that take that kind of pure approach. But with that comes a fine line between greatness and mediocrity. At least it's a line that's fine in definition, but it's actually a lot broader in feel. And for one reason or another, Balloon Bomber falls short of the arcade elite. You see what I did there? Falls? I guess that's kind of another stretch. Anyway, I think part of the reason for that is the aforementioned similarity between this game and the ones that seem to have inspired it. There just isn't much here that people hadn't already played in 1980, let alone 2011. Especially coming from a developer like Taito, which has some true classics under its belt, Balloon Bomber doesn't do a whole lot to float above the pack. But you know, that doesn't necessarily mean it sinks either. Balloon Bomber wasn't anything new even 30 years ago, but it was still a lot of fun, and you know what? It still is.